So the context in which we're giving this talk is a book we recently edited with Manchester University Press last fall, entitled The Sea and International Relations. The problem we wish to address in that book is the fact that international relations, the discipline of international relations, has by and large ignored the sea entirely in its analysis. This, we argue, is a rather big problem, because not only because the sea represents 70% of the globe, but also because by ignoring the sea or taking the sea as a given, our analysis are not able to grasp the ways in which the sea influence global politics today.
The sea, in a sense, is only there when we stumble upon it. We take it for granted. Take, for instance, when the Ever Given was put itself across the Suez Canal a couple of years ago. It stopped global trade. All of a sudden, kids wouldn't get their new iPads for Christmas. Then we start thinking about the sea, how important the sea is for connecting the globe, and all the problems that emerge when something goes wrong. Like when piracy emerged outside of Somalia 15 years ago, all of a sudden everyone cares about the sea. But we haven't really thought about the sea much in international relations.
And what these episodes show you is that small, relatively local issues highlight the extent to which the functioning of the sea as planned is an essential part of global governance or global hegemony. If you take, for instance, the two major hegemons we've seen over the past centuries, Britain and the US, their dominion over the globe was largely based on the fact that they could control the seas. The fact that the sea is the precondition for that type of domination to take place is something we want to highlight with this book. And it comes to the fore when smaller episodes like the Evergreen blocking the Suez Canal happen, because only then that functioning of the sea, which we take for granted, is disrupted and shows the extent to which the fragile control over the sea is a key determinant of the type of global power we can have in the world.
And the thing about the sea is that as soon as you start looking, it's everywhere, right? Take, for instance, one of our authors in our book claiming that the shipping container is the key driver of globalization, the standardized shipping container allowing for transport of everything really around the globe. The sea is everywhere in our culture. Most countries, at least the countries that are not landlocked, have stories about the sea. It's mythologized. You see it in popular culture. It sort of seeps through, to use watery analogies, everywhere. And yet, in international relations and in many other disciplines, the sea has largely been ignored because people don't live there. So the sea is, in a sense, compressed, and with jet airplanes and nuclear submarines and nuclear propulsion in general, the sea has just been collapsed, in a sense, to time. We measure the oceans in how long it will take us to cross them, be it via airplane or by ship.
And one of the things we've tried to do in the book is to highlight the sea as a political space, a space in which things happen, in which people disagree, in a space in which people meet, and rethinking global politics with the sea as a space on par with land, we believe, is one of the key challenges we as a discipline need to surmount if we are to be able to provide analysis of global politics that can actually have an impact on how we live. By ignoring the sea, it's not only the sea that we ignore. It is a number of associated phenomena which are sort of pushed to the background. The concept of empire between 1500 and 1800 is rarely addressed because it's ignored the fact that state formation was actually a process which went along with empire formation. And by keeping the sea away from our analysis, we also are allowed to forget what was overseas, what was on the other side of the sea, if you want.
And one of the reasons we think why we've forgotten about these things and forgotten about the sea as a political space, the space where the battles over empire, the contestations over who would get to rule what parts of the globe, that was really the place where this sort of happened. One of the reasons why we've forgotten this is the fact of British and then US hegemony. So we have 200 years with relative sort of freedom of the seas, which has allowed us to forget what it was like when the seas were not free. And we think that is a very important topic to bring up today in a time when it's not obvious that we will continue to have hegemony at sea. It's not obvious that the current hegemon will be willing and able to maintain hegemony at sea. And a world without a naval hegemon is a world we don't know. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it for more than 200 years. So we think it's high time we start thinking about this, start integrating the sea more into our theories of international relations. You cannot have a discipline claiming to cover the globe, but only caring about the land part of it.